My mother died when I was 12 years old. At least, that's what my father told me. That's what I believed for 15 years. Until last Tuesday, when I found a cream-colored envelope in my mailbox with no return address and handwriting I recognized immediately. It was hers. My hands shook as I tore it open. Inside was a plane ticket to Portland, Oregon, dated for 3 days from now, and a note. Just one sentence, written in that same familiar handwriting. Don't trust your father. I'm Sean Chen. I'm 27 years old. I work as a graphic designer in Boston. And up until a week ago, I thought I knew my life story. Turns out, I didn't know anything at all. Before we get into what happened next, let me give you some background. My childhood was pretty normal, or so I thought. Mom, Dad, me, and my younger brother Tyler in a 2-story house in the suburbs. Dad worked in finance. Mom was a photographer. She traveled a lot for work, always chasing the perfect shot. Then one day, when I was 12, Dad sat us down and told us Mom had died in a car accident during one of her work trips to Oregon. Sudden, tragic, no warning. We never got to say goodbye. Here's the thing though, we never saw her body. Dad said the accident was so bad, he wanted us to remember her the way she was. We had a closed casket funeral. I remember standing there in my black suit, staring at that wooden box, and feeling absolutely nothing because it didn't feel real. But I was 12. What did I know? I believed my father. Why wouldn't I? Fast forward 15 years. I'm living in my own apartment, Tyler's in grad school, and Dad's remarried to a woman named Janet. Life moved on, like it does. Then I got that letter. I must have read those 5 words 100 times. Don't trust your father. The handwriting matched perfectly with old birthday cards I still had from my mom. The loops in the letters, the way she crossed her T's, the slight slant to the right. Everything. But that was impossible. Dead people don't send letters. Dead people don't buy plane tickets. Unless she wasn't dead. That first night, I couldn't sleep. I kept getting up to look at the letter, holding it under my lamp, checking for signs it was fake. Maybe someone was messing with me. Maybe it was a cruel prank. But who would do that? And how would they perfectly copy her handwriting? The plane ticket was real too. I checked the booking reference. First class, one way, departing Friday morning. Arriving in Portland at 2 p.m. I called in sick to work. I needed time to think. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done in years. I pulled out all my old photos of Mom. There weren't many. Dad had packed most of them away after he remarried, said it was too painful to keep them out. At the time, I thought he was just grieving in his own way. Now I wondered if there was another reason. I studied every photo. Mom at the beach with me. Mom holding baby Tyler. Mom and Dad at their wedding. She looked happy in most of them, but in the later ones, something seemed off. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. She looked tired. Or maybe I was just seeing what I wanted to see now. I tried calling Tyler, but he was in the middle of exams and barely had time to talk. I didn't tell him about the letter. Not yet. I needed to figure out what was going on first. Instead, I did something crazy. I called my Aunt Rachel, my mom's sister. We barely spoke anymore, not since the funeral. She'd had some kind of falling out with my dad afterward and stopped coming around. Sean, she sounded shocked when she heard my voice. Is everything okay? I need to ask you something about Mom. There was a long pause. What about her? Did you ever actually see her body? After the accident? Another pause, even longer. Why are you asking me this? Just answer the question. Please. No, she said quietly. Your father said it wasn't possible. Said the accident was too severe. But Sean, why? Did you believe him? She hesitated. Your mother and I talked every single day. Then one day, she just stopped calling. Your father called me a week later saying she was dead. I tried to ask questions, but he shut me down. Then he stopped letting me see you kids. I always thought something was wrong, but I had no proof. Just a feeling. My heart was pounding. What if she's not dead? What are you talking about? I told her about the letter, the plane ticket, everything. Oh my God, Aunt Rachel whispered. Sean, if your mother is alive, if she's been alive this whole time, why wouldn't she have contacted you before now? That was the question, wasn't it? I had 2 days until the flight. 2 days to decide if I was going to get on that plane or ignore the whole thing and pretend it never happened. Who was I kidding? I was definitely getting on that plane. But first, I needed to be smart about this. If my mother was really alive, and if my father had lied about her death for 15 years, then I was walking into something dangerous. Something I didn't understand. I packed light. Told my roommate I was going to visit a friend for a few days. I didn't tell my father anything. Don't trust your father. Those words kept echoing in my head. Thursday night, I couldn't help myself. I drove to my dad's house in the suburbs. I sat in my car across the street, just watching. The lights were on downstairs. I could see Dad and Janet moving around in the kitchen, probably making dinner. He looked so normal, so ordinary, just a regular guy in his 60s, living his regular life. Had he been lying to me my entire life? And if so, why? I thought about confronting him right then and there, marching up to the door and demanding answers. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the warning in the letter. Maybe it was the look on Aunt Rachel's face in my mind when she talked about Dad shutting her out. Whatever it was, I drove away without saying a word. Friday morning, I was at Logan Airport at 5 a.m. for a 7:30 flight. I went through security in a daze, bought an overpriced coffee I didn't drink, and sat at my gate watching the sunrise through the huge windows. Part of me still expected this to all be some elaborate hoax. I'd get to Portland and no one would be there. I'd realize I'd been chasing a ghost, literally and figuratively. But I had to know. The flight was 5.5 hours. I didn't sleep, didn't watch a movie, didn't do anything except stare out the window and run through every childhood memory I had of my mother. Her laugh, the way she smelled like lavender, how she'd take me and Tyler on adventures around the neighborhood with her camera, teaching us to see the world differently. Photography is about truth, she used to say. The camera doesn't lie, but people do. We landed in Portland right on time. I grabbed my carry-on and followed the crowd through the airport, my heart beating so fast I thought I might pass out. What was I supposed to do now? The ticket hadn't come with instructions. No meeting place, no time, nothing. Just the ticket and the warning that I made it to baggage claim and stood there, scanning the crowd. Families reuniting, business people on their phones, drivers holding signs with names. No one holding a sign with mine. I waited 15 minutes, then 30, then an hour. Nothing. I was starting to think I'd made a horrible mistake. Flown across the country for nothing. Then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Blue Honda Civic. Level 2 of parking garage. License plate 7TG 9024. My hands were shaking again. I texted back, "Who is this?" No response. I stood there, phone in hand, trying to decide what to do. This was insane. I could be walking into a trap. I should call someone, tell them where I was going. But who? Tyler was across the country. Aunt Rachel would just worry. And I definitely wasn't calling Dad. Against every instinct screaming at me to turn around and book a flight home, I walked toward the parking garage. Level 2 was dimly lit and mostly empty. My footsteps echoed on the concrete. I found the blue Honda Civic in the far corner, away from the elevators, away from cameras. The windows were tinted. I couldn't see inside. I approached slowly, every muscle in my body tense and ready to run. When I was about 10 feet away, the driver's door opened. A woman stepped out. She was wearing jeans and a gray sweater, her dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked older than the photos I had, her face more lined, her hair shot through with silver. But it was unmistakably her, my mother. "Sean," she said, and her voice broke on my name. I couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. She took a step toward me. "I know you must have so many questions. You're dead." The words came out flat, emotionless. "You died 15 years ago. I know that's what you were told. Were you in witness protection? Did you have amnesia? Were you kidnapped?" I was grasping at straws, trying to find some explanation that would make this make sense. That would make it okay that she'd let me think she was dead for half my life. No, nothing like that. She looked down. "I ran away, Sean. I faked my death and I ran." The parking garage seemed to tilt around me. "What? To protect you? Protect me from what?" She looked up, and I saw fear in her eyes. Real, genuine fear. "From your father." We didn't talk in the parking garage. Mom drove us to a small motel on the outskirts of Portland, the kind of place that rents rooms by the week and doesn't ask questions. She'd been staying there for the past month, she said, planning this meeting. The room was small and clean but impersonal. 2 beds, a table, a TV that probably didn't work. Mom sat on one bed. I sat on the other, an ocean of space and 15 years of lies between us. "Start talking," I said, and she did. "Your father isn't who you think he is," she began. "When I met him, he was charming, successful, everything I thought I wanted. We got married fast. Too fast. I was young and stupid and in love. Things were good at first. Then I got pregnant with you, and little things started to change. He became controlling, wanted to know where I was every minute, who I talked to, what I spent money on. I told myself it was just stress from becoming a parent. I listened, silent, my stomach twisting. After Tyler was born, it got worse. He started going through my phone, my emails, my camera. He accused me of having affairs, which I wasn't. He said I was a bad mother, even though I did everything for you kids. He'd get angry over tiny things, scream, throw things. Then the next day, he'd apologize and bring me flowers and tell me it would never happen again. But it always did. My mother's eyes were wet. I thought about leaving so many times. But he had all the money, all the power. His family had connections, good lawyers. He told me if I ever tried to take you kids, he'd make sure I never saw you again. That he'd tell everyone I was unstable. That he'd win custody and I'd lose everything. So I stayed. For years I stayed. Tried to make it work. Tried to be enough. But I was drowning, Sean. Every day I felt like I was disappearing. Then one day, I found something. Financial records your father had hidden. Evidence that he was involved in something illegal. Money laundering through his company. Lots of money. Connected to some very dangerous people. I felt cold. What kind of people? The kind that make problems disappear. She looked at me. I made copies of everything. I was going to go to the police. But your father found out. He came home one night, and I could tell he knew. The way he looked at me. I'd never seen that expression on his face before. Like I wasn't his wife. Like I was a problem that needed to be solved. That night, he told me very calmly that if I didn't destroy the evidence and forget everything I'd seen, something might happen to me. An accident, maybe. The kind of accident where there wouldn't be enough left to identify. And with me gone, he'd raise you and Tyler to never even remember my name. My hands were shaking. Mom, I realized I had two choices. Stay and either keep silent or end up actually dead. Or disappear and let you both think I was gone, but know that you were safe. That he wouldn't hurt you as long as I stayed away and kept quiet. So I planned it. I had a friend who owed me a favor, someone your father didn't know about. She helped me fake the car accident in Oregon. Made it look real enough that your father wouldn't ask too many questions. Because here's the thing, he wanted me gone anyway. I gave him an easy out. A tragedy instead of a scandal. Tears were streaming down my face now. You left us with him. You knew what he was, and you left us there. I know. Her voice broke. Sean, I know. It's the choice that's haunted me every single day for 15 years. But I thought it was safer for you if I was gone. He had no reason to hurt you. You were his children. And without me there, without the threat of exposure, he could just go back to his life. I kept tabs on you from a distance. Changed my name, changed my life. But I always knew where you were, what you were doing. I saw you graduate high school, start college. I was there at your college graduation, in the back of the crowd where you couldn't see me. You wore a blue tie and you looked so happy and so grown up, and it took everything in me not to run to you. I was full on sobbing now. Why now? Why contact me after all this time? Her expression turned grave. Because your father is dying. I stared at her. What? He has cancer. Stage 4. He has maybe 6 months left. How do you know that? I still have friends. People who keep me informed. She leaned forward. Sean, your father put you and Tyler in his will. You're set to inherit everything when he dies. His money, his assets, his company shares. Okay, so you'd also inherit his problems. The people he's been laundering money for, they're not going to just disappear when he dies. They're going to come looking for their money. And when they do, you and Tyler will be in danger. My blood ran cold. What are we supposed to do? I still have the evidence. Copies of everything. I've kept it all these years as insurance. I want to give it to you. You need to go to the FBI before your father dies. Cut a deal. Give them everything in exchange for protection for you and Tyler. But Dad will know it came from you. He'll know you're alive. I don't care anymore. I spent 15 years dead. I'm tired, Sean. I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of being afraid. And I'm tired of not knowing my children. Her voice cracked. But more than anything, I need you to be safe. Both of you. I sat there, trying to process everything. My father was dying. My father was a criminal. My father had threatened to kill my mother. My mother had been alive this entire time, watching from the shadows, unable to come home. Does he know you're alive? I asked quietly. I don't think so. If he did, he would have come looking for me years ago. But he'll know now? Once we go to the FBI. Yes. He could still hurt you. She smiled sadly. Let him try? I'm not that scared young woman anymore. And besides, once everything goes to the FBI, touching me would be the stupidest thing he could do. It would just prove everything. I thought about my father, the man who raised me, who taught me to ride a bike, who came to every school play, who walked me through my first heartbreak. Had that all been a lie? Or was it possible for someone to be both things, a loving father and a dangerous criminal? I need proof, I heard myself say. I need to know you're telling the truth. If Mom was hurt by that, she didn't show it. She just nodded, reached under the bed, and pulled out a laptop. I figured you'd say that. She spent the next 2 hours showing me everything. Bank statements, wire transfers, shell companies, communications between my father and people with names I didn't recognize. Some of it I understood, a lot of it I didn't. But there was enough that I could see the pattern. Money coming in from questionable sources, being cleaned through legitimate businesses, going back out. Millions of dollars. Maybe tens of millions. How did you even find all this? I asked. I was better at technology than your father gave me credit for, she said. He thought I was just a photographer, just his wife. He underestimated me. There was pride in her voice. And anger. 15 years of anger. What about Tyler? I asked. Does he need to know all of this? Yes. He needs to be protected too. But Sean, you need to be careful how you tell him. This is going to turn his entire world upside down, just like it's done to you. She wasn't wrong. I felt like I was floating outside my body, watching all of this happen to someone else. It was too big, too crazy. I need time, I said. I need to think about all of this. We don't have a lot of time. Your father could die any day. Once he's gone, the people he works with will start moving. We need to get ahead of this. I understand that. But I'm not making this decision in a motel room in Portland after knowing my dead mother is alive for all of 3 hours. My voice came out sharper than I intended. Mom flinched but nodded. Okay, fair enough. But Sean, please don't tell your father you've seen me. Not yet. Not until we know what you're going to do. I won't. Promise me. I promise. I stayed in Portland for 2 more days. Mom and I talked. Really talked. She told me about her life over the past 15 years. The jobs she'd worked under fake names. The tiny apartments she'd lived in. The constant fear of being found. The loneliness. I told her about my life. College. My friends. My job. Tyler. All the things she'd missed. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. I was still so angry at her for leaving, no matter what the reasons were. But it was a start. When I flew back to Boston, I had a USB drive in my pocket with copies of everything. And a burner phone Mom had given me so we could communicate without anyone tracing it. I still hadn't decided what I was going to do. I lasted 3 days before I broke my promise. I couldn't help it. Every time I thought about my father, I saw a stranger. I needed to look him in the eye. I needed to see if I could tell. I drove to his house on a Tuesday evening. Janet opened the door, looking surprised but pleased to see me. Sean, what a nice surprise. Come in, come in. Dad was in the living room watching the news. He looked thinner than the last time I'd seen him. Paler. The cancer, I realized. It was already eating away at him. Hey, son, he said, smiling. What brings you by? I sat down across from him. Janet disappeared into the kitchen to make tea. How are you feeling, Dad? Oh, you know, some days are better than others. He waved his hand dismissively. Doctors are optimistic, though. A lie. Mom said he had 6 months at most. But I played along. That's good. We made small talk for a few minutes. Work. Tyler. The weather. Normal things. But I was studying his face the whole time, looking for signs of the man my mother had described. The controlling husband. The criminal. The man who'd threatened to kill her. I didn't see it. All I saw was my dad. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. Dad, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you ever think about Mom? Something flickered across his face. Too quick to read. Sometimes. What? I've been thinking about her a lot lately. About the accident. That was a long time ago, Sean. I know. But I realized I don't actually know much about what happened. You never really talked about it. His expression hardened almost imperceptibly. Because it was painful. It still is. I understand. But I'm an adult now. I think I deserve to know the details. We locked eyes. For a moment, I saw something in his face that I'd never seen before. Something cold. Calculating. Then it was gone, replaced by sadness. She was driving on a mountain road. It was raining. She lost control of the car. It went over the side. by the time they found her. He shook his head. I wanted to spare you and Tyler the details. You were just children. Did you see her? Before the funeral? Yes. And it was definitely her. Sean, what is this about? His voice had an edge now. I'm just trying to understand. Understand what? Your mother died. It was tragic and horrible, and I've spent 15 years trying to move on. Why are you dredging this up now? Because she's not dead, I wanted to scream. Because she's alive and she's terrified of you, and she told me everything. But I didn't. Instead, I said, I'm sorry. You're right. I shouldn't have brought it up. The tension in the room eased slightly. Dad's expression softened. It's okay, son. I know you miss her. I do too. Another lie. I could see it now. Once you knew what to look for, the lies were obvious that I left soon after, claiming I had work in the morning. Dad hugged me goodbye. Take care of yourself, Sean. And come visit more often, okay? I don't know how much time I have left. Was that a threat? Or just a dying man wanting to see his son? I didn't know. I didn't know anything anymore. That night, I called Tyler. Told him everything. The letter. Mom. Portland. The evidence. All of it. He didn't believe me at first. Thought I was having some kind of breakdown. But I sent him photos of Mom. Recent ones. And copies of some of the evidence. Not all of it. Not yet. But enough. He called me back an hour later, his voice shaking. What the hell, Sean? What the actual hell? I know. Is she really alive? Yes. And Dad. All that stuff about him. Is it true? I think so. I don't want it to be. But yeah, I think it is. Tyler was quiet for a long time. Then, what are we going to do? That was the question. That we could go to the FBI like Mom wanted. Hand over the evidence. Probably save ourselves from whatever mess Dad was leaving behind. But we'd destroy our father in the process. He was already dying. Did we need to make his last months on Earth a living hell? Or we could do nothing. Pretend I never got the letter. Let Dad die in peace. And hope that whatever consequences came after, we could handle them. There was no good choice. I think we have to go to the FBI, I said finally. I think Mom's right. If we don't, we could end up in real danger. Dad's going to hate us. Dad lied to us for our entire lives. If Mom's telling the truth, he threatened to kill her. He's been laundering money for criminals. Tyler, he's not the person we thought he was. I know. I need time to process this. We don't have a lot of time. I know. Just give me a few days. Okay. 3 weeks later, Tyler and I walked into the FBI field office in Boston. We had a lawyer with us, one Mom had recommended. We handed over everything. They took us seriously, started an investigation, put us in protective custody for a few days while they verified the information. It was all real. All true. My father had been laundering money for a criminal organization for over 20 years. The evidence my mother had collected was enough to bring down not just him, but a whole network of people. In exchange for our cooperation, they offered us immunity and protection. We took it. My father was arrested 4 weeks after that. I'll never forget the look on his face when the FBI showed up at his door. Shock. Rage. And then, when he saw me standing behind them, betrayal. Sean, he said, his voice breaking. What did you do? I'm sorry, Dad. And I was. Despite everything, part of me still loved him. Still remembered the father who'd read me bedtime stories and taught me to swim. But that person and this person were the same man, and I had to accept that. He died 3 months later in federal custody. The cancer got him before the trial could. In a way, maybe that was mercy. Mom came to the funeral. It was the first time she'd been around Dad's family in 15 years. Aunt Rachel saw her and burst into tears. There were questions, accusations, chaos. But Mom stood there with her head high and told the truth. All of it. Some people believed her. Some didn't. I don't think it mattered anymore. It's been 6 months since my father died. Tyler and I are still in therapy, trying to process everything. Trying to figure out who we are now that our entire childhood has been recontexted. Mom and I meet for coffee every week. It's awkward sometimes. There's a lot of lost time to make up for. A lot of hurt that won't heal overnight. But we're trying. She's teaching me photography. The camera doesn't lie, she still says. But now I know that people do. Even the people you love most. Especially them. I think about that letter a lot. That cream-colored envelope with 5 words that changed everything. Don't trust your father. Best advice I ever got. And the worst. Because what do you do when the person who's supposed to protect you is the person you need protection from? What do you do when the truth destroys everything you thought you knew? I still don't have all the answers. Maybe I never will. But I'm alive. Tyler's alive. Mom's alive. And we're all finally free. That's something. That's enough. For now.